Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. This video was so requested and I finally got to film it. We're gonna learn how I create my favorite texture brushes that I use all the time on my videos. First, let's try to understand the Brush Studio interface. As you can see here, it's divided into three parts: Attributes, Settings, and the Drawing Pad. When you select an attribute on the left menu, you will also see the available settings for it on the Settings menu. Now let's get to the drawing pad. This one is my favorite part of the Brush Studio. It's just like a little notepad where you get to test the brush you're working on. And the best thing about it, you can preview every change you make on the settings in real time. Creating or modifying a Procreate brush is very easy, but you have to understand how it works. Every Procreate brush has a shape or an edge, just like real brushes have different shapes and tips. Inside that shape, there is the grain, the content or the texture of the brush. So let's start creating our brush now. The first attribute here is the stroke path. Every time you draw a line, the brush leaves a stroke by repeating the shape source along the path you're drawing. You can say this is like creating a drawing with points. You can adjust the spacing between these points on the spacing, the smoothing of the stroke on the streamline, the jitter right here, and the way your stroke fades away on the fall off. For our brush, we'll just set the spacing to 22%. The stroke taper settings adjust the way the taper reacts. This is optional, but I leave the tip animation on. Let's look at the shape now. As I said before, every Procreate brush is formed of a shape that holds a grain. You can change the shape of your brush by either importing an image into the shape source or selecting one from the source library. We're gonna select the round soft shape source for our brush. Procreate gives us several options for the way this shape will act. It can be either rotated, randomized, or stamped more than once at each point. Now for the fun part, choosing the grain. You can either create a new grain from an image or importing an existing one from the grain source. I strongly recommend you to take a look on the grain source. They have hundreds of amazing textures. We're gonna choose the recycled paper for our brush, but feel free to change it later. Every time you change the grain source, it's like changing the brush. Now let's just play around with the grain settings. The movement indicates how the grain moves inside the shapes. I chose rolling. The scale shows the scale of the grain and texture. You can use 0 for very smooth brushes and the full 100% for very pixely or grainy brushes. Here I use a value between 30 to 45%. You can also play around with the blend modes to control how the grain texture blends with the underlying color of the brush. I prefer multiply. This is a great mode for creating shadows. It works by darkening what's underneath it, still keeping the luminosity. In the grain filtering section, you'll find buttons for None, Classic and Improved. Just like in the shape section above, the Improved option applies more detail to the grain. The brush rendering option sets the way the stroke will build up over time. Now set the Apple Pencil to flow 70%. The Brush Properties panel is the last step in editing default brushes. This is where you can change the brush name, preview, overall behavior and size limits. That's it! You just made your first Procreate brush. I told you it will be easy. To create a new shading texture brush, the easiest way is to keep the settings and just change the grain source. And if you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the ring bell button. Also, please leave a comment down below and give this video a thumbs up. It will help me a lot. Thank you!